but what do you think is having the biggest impact on us? Do you think it's our food or do you think it's the products that we're using?
Well, again, I think it depends on the individual, and what
Okay.
your own level of exposure is, whether it's household products, whether you wear a lot of makeup or use
Mm.
sun cream a lot. I don't wear any makeup, you can probably tell, and I got really dark skin, so I don't wear a lot of sunscreen. But I think the food aspects are really critical because we have to eat, right?
Mm.
And so if you think back to the bucket analogy we were talking about, it's a balance of the nutrients you're taking in and the toxins you're trying to excrete. So if the food you're consuming is also toxic, you're getting in bad shape in double time, right? Because
Mm.
instead of the food you're taking in is nourishing you and supporting your detoxification systems, it's actually adding to the burden. So even, if you don't eat, regularly at those big logo fast food restaurants, so much of the food in a regular grocery store is laden with chemicals. You just need to start reading food labels to see some of those ingredients that you don't recognize, or you can't imagine how they grow, or
Can't
where it
pronounce.
comes from, right? So I put a ton of people onto the Yuka app. I don't know, do you know the Yuka app? It's
Oh, no.
awesome. Oh, you've got to look it up. So you
Okay.
you could scan a barcode, and it'll scan the food, or all products. They do cosmetics,
Oh, that's
some other
fabulous.
products as well, and it'll give it a score out of 100. And so the lower the score, the worse it is for your health. And so I put friends onto it, and they thought they ate fairly healthily, and then they went through
Mm.
their home kitchen with this like little app, and they've been like really shocked. So that's a really good one. And you might push back at some of these more organic products, or the natural personal care products are more expensive, right? But I'm not sure you can actually put a price on good health.
Mhm.
Living in decades in not having any medications and not really having any major ailments. I don't think you really can put a price on that. We talk about the saying, "Would you rather pay the farmer or the pharmacy?" Right? So it's all it's one or the other. So I personally think it's worth it. But many conditions can be completely reversed without pharmaceutical intervention, just by reducing your toxic load and nourishing your body with real healthy food. So I think that's critical.
Okay, so now that you brought that up, what do you think are healthy foods? What should we be doing to nourish our bodies these days?
I think there's different ways to detox, or to support your detoxification system. I mean, I think that's the most important thing to do. And I think,
Mhm.
if we look at the different parts of detoxification, in my book, I talk about a little bit about how the human body works, because I think if we understand it, we can understand what we need to do, right? And instead of just the mantras, "Oh, you got to eat right," well, if you're actually understanding how is that apple helping my body now, and you sort of know it, and then you're more likely to grab the apple, right? So I think, to think about the master of ceremonies in your body is not your heart or your brain, but it's your liver. And the liver
Hmm.
is the most hardworking organ in the human body. It's, I mean, literally hundreds of processes, but one of the main processes is that it's responsible for metabolizing those chemicals and those toxins, and so that you can then carry them out of the body in your urine, your poop. We could talk about that, your sweat, and your breath. This is how we get toxins out of our body. So it's why so many different symptoms can arise if you have an impaired liver. So first thing I talk about is making sure your liver is kept really healthy. So drinking too much alcohol. I mean, we talk about a couple of negative things, and then we'll get onto the good stuff. But I've got to mention that drinking alcohol is extremely detrimental to your liver. You hear,
Mhm.
the benefits of red wine. It's so healthy for you, and lots of antioxidants. It gets metabolized to formaldehyde in your liver, which is a known carcinogen. Even
Wow.
one drink a day is putting a burden on your liver. In the UK, they often do a dry January. They drink a lot in the UK, so then they talk about dry January is a detox. Well, yeah, okay, maybe. So not drinking at all for a month. Okay, that could be helpful. Personally, I don't drink at all, but I'd certainly recommend cutting back to maybe special occasions or something like that. Um, it's still in the bad category. Let's just
Mm.
talk about medications. Let's talk about Tylenol. Tylenol is extremely detrimental to your liver. It's actually the biggest cause of liver failure these days in the US and the UK as well. So, cutting back on things like that and finding alternatives to even over the counter medications is really helpful as well. So